My mom went up on stage and danced when they were playing Wet Ass. I have this like distinct memory of like my uncle singing the words Wet Ass. But like in no other context would they ever like have done that or been okay with that.
I'd like to begin with a fact.
So deep. So deep.
Or in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles.
You have to go deeper, I think.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Deep Noodle. I'm Nathaniel August Williams, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us for a bit. If you're a curious person, if you're a seeker, if you're an artistic weirdo, then you're welcome here, and we hope you stick around. My guest today is a kind, warm-hearted soul.
Oh, wow.
He's very funny and one of the nicest guys I know. He's also an Emmy Award-winning writer whose credits include Hulu's reboot of the Animaniacs, TBS's The Last O.G, and USA's Playing House. I also know from personal experience that he is a karaoke performer without equal. Welcome to the show, Andrew Barbot.
Wow, thank you. So many adjectives to describe me. How fun to hear that.
Yeah.
So get said back to me.
Well, you know, you're welcome. We love to have fun here. What's your go-to karaoke song these days? What are you rocking out with?
I mean, it's these days or just of all time. It's usually
I'll take both.
I'll take
all
it's
time.
Say It Ain't So. It's
Weezer.
Weezer.
Say It Ain't So. Weezer.
Yeah.
Oh, great song.
sang that actually at a piano bar for like my 21st birthday, and I was very drunk, and it's
a prerequisite for
but it went over so well. I also like was badgering the piano player. Have you been to like a dueling piano bar?
Man, I think in New York I maybe went to, but no, talk to me about dueling piano bars.
Well, no, but usually there's like other instruments like drums and a bass, and so I had badgered the piano player to let me play bass, even though I'm not like a bass player.
Yeah.
And so then so I did the whole song playing bass.
Wow,
went over great. At least I think it did.
Yeah,
that's always been my song.
I trust your judgment. Wait, so these are like full bands? This is like full band karaoke?
Oh yeah. There's a place in San Diego called the Shout House. It's like mostly like bachelorette parties and like Marines, like on leave.
Marines love karaoke.
Yeah. So, and it's like usually but it's a very fun mix of like younger and older people, just like singing the Piano Man every hour, because Piano Man is one of those songs that comes back up and also there's usually a pretty long line to get in, so like they keep it fresh. I say if you're gonna go, try to go later, because usually they get a little looser with the playlist. But
so this is for serious karaoke fans. It's really fun, and it really brings people out of their shells. Like my mom is, I wouldn't say she's like an extrovert, but we went to, we took her out with us last year to go out. Her and my uncle, my aunt, they're all in their like late 60s. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure how they're going to like it. They loved it. My mom went up on stage and danced when they were playing Wet Ass Pussy. I have this like distinct memory of like my uncle singing the words Wet Ass Pussy. But like in no other context would they ever like have done that or been okay with that.
No, yeah.
And it's not like there was like
maybe a drunken wedding, but maybe.
But
yeah, probably
then,
even
they
that.
could have like just, shirked into the corner. But this, there was like no overt pressure. Like no one was like chanting at them to do it. They just did it. They were like totally like swept away by the piano bar. So,
oh man, I guess Nicki Minaj has a new fan.
She does.
Then you got to get your mom some albums.
I know,
some albums going on. Well, when I introed you, I let slip that you're an Emmy Award winner. How's life changed since you've won your Emmy? Is everything?
Not at all. Like 0% changed. Let me just say,
you're not walking on
who's
clouds
seeking awards out there. The reward truly is the work itself.
The work.
I know it's stupid to say, but really, no. I mean, it's cool. It's fun to say. I think the strangest thing, and other people have probably said this, but you're sort of faced with this dilemma of where to put the statue.
Yeah.
I went for broke and just put it like on top of our piano, right when you open the front door.
Right.
So it's the first thing you see.
Yeah, I like that.
which I kind of like. If I'm being honest, I secretly like.
You want to show it off. I mean, that's a cool. Not everybody has an Emmy. You want to get a little shine for it.
I didn't even want to tell anybody because I just don't like. I don't know. Like it feels weird.
Yeah.
To promote that way. But I had a friend who, she was like, you have to, like, this is like pinnacle stuff.
Yeah. Maybe you don't open with it at a cocktail party.
Right.
But like if you're in a general meeting or something, you want to let it drop.
So
when you're about to do karaoke, you want to be like, let me introduce myself.
Yeah. I've been vetted for this in a very public way.
I'm an Emmy Award-winning. Karaoke performer. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like, it's really cool. It was very fun and exciting. I'd never won an award before for anything really. So to get that was like it was just like really cool.
Yeah. The fame hasn't gone to your head though. You're still very down to earth.
I'm still down to earth. I think it's important, you stay grounded in this earth.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Andrew, are you down to do a little community feedback, a little comment section with me here? We got some comments that came in from the loyal fans.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And
already?
Yeah, man. Thank you, Noodle fans out there, Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And speaking of Noodle fans, Dr. Bleep Blip, super fan Dr. Bleep Blip, friend of the show, longtime commenter, says, if I can get Matt's seed phrase, I will send him a hat as well. LMK, let me know. Some context. Matt came on the pod last week. We had a commenter try to scam us with a Bitcoin, with a crypto scam. God. And it involved a seed phrase. And a seed phrase is like catch, shoe, rigmarole, muffin, brainwash. It's just like a code, a phrase code.
Right.
And Matt did not, both of us were sort of, we had no idea really about code phrases. I
have no idea what a seed phrase is.
Yeah. So, but Dr. Bleep Blip seems to know, and he says if we could get Matt's seed, and he's sending us tinfoil hats because we talked about aliens.
Oh, okay.
We did some alien talk. So, thank you, Dr. Bleep Blips. Send those hats, and we'll wear them.
Yeah, please.
Send some hats.
I think it's more important now than ever because
you got to protect your brain.
We've literally entered this a era in humanity where they actually might be useful.
For sure. There's a lot of 5G.
Was that Cuba syndrome? Havana syndrome?
Yeah. The Cubans could be out there right now aiming their ray into the Deep Noodle studio at any moment. It could be happening. So we need them soon. We also got some shade that someone was like, hey, you guys are irrelevant 50-year-olds talking about irrelevant things on YouTube and that we should quit and give up.
My God.
We talked about that comment. I know it was some trolling, but WYRMDYTRAWWLR 1793, pronounced Werndl or 1793, says Matt is not beating the guy in his 50s podcast allegations after that crypto statement. Crypto segment, and I would say that we are also probably not beating that. Those allegations. We're not killing it on the crypto front, but enlighten us, let us know, talk to us about seed phrases.
Yeah, definitely.
What do we need to know about Binance? TRIS 8001 says, glad my algorithm made me stumble on this clip. And that was in response to that guy who was like, why'd my algorithm let me watch this crap?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So thank you, Tris. Eric Jensen Music, another super fan, long-time commenter, says, can't wait to watch Loose Change. Thanks for the movie rec.
Oh.
I just say, we didn't know. Well, I wouldn't say we recommended Loose Change. It was briefly name-checked on the pod. Are you familiar with Loose Change?
No, I've never seen it.
Loose Change is a 9/11 conspiracy documentary, but I would say it is sort of the OG conspiracy internet doc.
Okay.
And I would say it's responsible for a whole generation of sort of tinfoil-hatted conspiracy theories.
Right.
And I had a boss at the time who was really big into 9/11 conspiracy theories. And he would, after work, would take me into his office and we would smoke a joint and he would tell me all of the conspiracy theories. Yeah. And I will say that Loose Change will make it's enough. Basically what it is it's all of the little things that don't make sense around 9/11.
Right.
So it's sort of all these like, oh, how convenient that they had taken out a brand new, multi-billion-dollar insurance policy the week before this happened. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
how interesting that the building that was carrying all the financial records for the towers was actually in Building 7. And how interesting that building collapsed even though it wasn't hit by a plane. And that only 3 buildings have ever collapsed due to fire that are made of steel frames, and all 3 of them were on 9/11. And one of, so it's just sort of like
just asking questions.
It's just, hey man,
just asking questions.
And then it's a lot of editing and scary music.
Yeah, I think I've seen maybe parts of this like chopped up
Yes.
as like other YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll make a conspiracyist out of you if you smoke one joint and watch. Loose change. You're going down a bad road. Be careful.
I had a boss who was like a secret conspiracy theorist as well.
Yeah.
I don't know that he was like actively hiding it, but it would just like pop up in like weird spots. He would just we'd be like talking about normal things, and then he would just be like, the Vatican has all of those files, right? And he would just be like, we're like, what?
All of any files, whatever you're talking about.
And then he would just move on. As if he said something completely normal, you know?
What was his drug of choice? What was his conspiracy of choice?
It was like Illuminati shit.
Illuminati.
Yeah,
okay. Like
it was
secret
like
societies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The things we don't know, the things that are being like the big things,
Right.
globally that are being kept from us.
At the time, it was a lot of like the Trilateral Commission. Did he ever talk about that? And
no.
it's sort of it was like the Bohemian Grove and the cabal of international businessmen and bankers, that sort of countryless international money people. Yeah.
I love the
industrialists.
The lizard people is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
I think I first heard them. Have you read that John Ronson book, Them?
No.
It's really good. It's all about conspiracy theories. But but he goes into like the lizard people a lot.
That's like the QAnon was a lot of the lizard people, right?
Yes, probably. I mean a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just that there's lizard people ruling over us, essentially.
Yeah. Do you know, because I honestly, this is something that I've at the fringes of my awareness. It's like those lizard people. Do you know more? What's the deal with the lizard people?
I mean, I don't think I know that much other than that just they believe that there are people like humans presenting themselves as humans, and inside they're actually like reptilians. I think from another planet. I don't think they evolved, parallel to us. I think they're, aliens probably.
Lizards.
I'm sorry to all the lizard people too if I'm totally butchering your.
Yeah, don't aim your Havana ray at us,
Yes,
lizard
please
people,
don't.
please. No one has revealed. We haven't seen any lizard people.
I just love the idea. I was thinking about this too with Harry Potter, because my daughter, she's 9 now, so she's been loving Harry Potter. She's just like totally into it.
Yeah.
It's just so funny to me, like just the huge logic gap of like if you're a wizard and you can like literally conjure anything you want out of anything, you know, and like turn into any animal, that you would be in hiding from like the rest of the world. And the same thing with these reptilians. Like, why? Like, if you have the ability to shapeshift and you control everything, why would you hide? You know?
People would want to dissect you. They'd want to study you. They'd be all out in front of your house, like, teach me magic.
But couldn't you just like
turn into
or like
a flea and
kill them, or like erase their memory? Like, I don't know. It just seems.
Yeah. It seems like they would just exist among people as a
powerful being,
powerful class of people, like celebrities,
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why you would have to hide.
It's what's the Boys, that show where the superheroes are just kind of like celebrities.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's probably closer.
Yeah. I mean, they would certainly, if they were in, that's actually a good idea. They should do a spinoff with wizards.
Yeah. The Boys style spinoff with wizards.
With wizards.
Write that now.
Debauched wizards.
I will cut this out of the podcast so that it doesn't go out. We'll work on the treatment.
Okay,
we'll
great.
get the pitch together.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you everyone for your comments. They really help us out, actually. We want to know what you're thinking. Let us know what's interesting to talk about. What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? And, we want to bring in the big brains in Los Angeles that can get to the bottom of these serious topics. Andrew, I want to talk a little bit about the Last O.G, man. What a cool gig. Tracy Morgan, and such a funny guy. What was it like working on that show? What was it like working with Tracy Morgan?
It was great. It was I didn't work with him though.
Oh
no, because
he's not in the writer's room much.
He was in New York. So he only called in to the writer's room one time. I'm not even exaggerating. I think it was maybe like the first or second week. And I don't even think he meant to talk to us. I think he had called the showrunner and the showrunner had just put him on speakerphone.
It's like,
yeah. And he told us, because I think we were thinking of like some dating stories, because it's kind of about, the show's about like an ex-con who's kind of coming back into society and he's like getting back on his feet. So we were thinking
in jail
of
for like 15 years.
Yeah. And I was on season 3. So the show had sort of reinvented itself every season. And we were kind of in the process of doing that again. So we were thinking of like some dating storylines.
Nice.
And so he told us about this woman he dated who had like she had like one arm. She had like one arm, and she had a prosthetic though that was like made of wood.
Wait, this is someone Tracy Jordan actually did.
Yeah, and
Tracy
she
Morgan.
had like painted it. I think she had painted it purple. But you have to imagine him telling the story like in like his voice and everything.
Yeah.
Which brings me into my the toughest part about the show was not being able to pitch jokes in Tracy's voice.
Right.
Trying to be like sensitive to that.
Yeah.
You know.
You're a very white guy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so very aware that I shouldn't be pitching, but it's hard because so much of his humor is how he delivers lines.
For sure.
If you just read his lines from a movie, like in a script, they're all probably pretty boring.
Yeah.
And you know, this isn't 30 Rock, so it wasn't like a lot of like
zany,
like jokes, you know, like jokes that like jump off the page. So a lot of it is like that sort of like, this is funny because Tracy's saying it. So
yeah.
But because Tracy was sort of living in like a gentrified neighborhood, he was like, I want to have like at least one of those voices.
You're the voice of
I'm the voice
white
of gentrification. So, you know, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I get it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally.
I don't get it at all. But really, I think what we connected over was like being dads. Like I was as soon as like that was sort of like made apparent that I was a dad. It was like sort of bonded through that, and like and also ended up being a character in the show.
Wait, you were?
I didn't, but I pitched a version of myself.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Sort of a, you know, I don't know. I'm not a helicopter dad by any means, but it sort of morphed into that.
Oh, interesting.
That was what was sort of funny and dynamic.
Yeah.
But yeah, sort of. So having Tracy sort of have this foil because he's a father in the show.
Yeah.
To sort of like get to play with and make fun of. And yeah.
What happened with the woman with the one arm that he was dating?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope she's doing okay. It's also hard too, because you want to tell grounded stories.
Yeah.
And sometimes like it's, even though that really happened, it's almost like too unbelievable.
Yes.
So we were sort of always balancing that. I ended up using some stand-up of Tracy's that he had done like even before 30 Rock, where he talks about his family and this uncle he had who was like a Vietnam vet. And like,
oh, wow.
He tells this great stand-up. I suggest you look it up because it's really funny. But I loved like that dynamic. And I felt like that was something that we hadn't seen on the show yet. We had seen Tracy's family like through his kids and through his ex-wife, but we hadn't seen like his extended family. And so I had pitched an episode, like a Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
Because I love Thanksgiving. And
who doesn't? I
know it's again problematic. Sorry. Problematic holiday.
I think we can just I think we just have to talk about whatever. You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
love
like
the bad parts
sure,
about Thanksgiving.
and nobody does, you know. But at this point, it's an excuse to get together with family, have good food.
I love that
the
part,
tradition of it is lovely. You know? Yeah.
I love that part. I actually love the no presents pressure because I hate thinking of presents to give people because I never think that I'm getting the right thing, that it's going to be wrong. So I love that this is a holiday we have where we gather and relax and there's no sort of that kind of pressure.
Yeah, totally.
And it's also the first one of those holidays before Christmas. By the time you get to Christmas, I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
Because you've already had Thanksgiving and maybe Christmas Eve.
Yeah. My birthday's in November too. So then you got like a birthday in there. I've got to stare down the
It's too much.
birthday and then I got to stare down the Christmas and then the New Year. And it's a real run of, mortality checkpoints. Yeah.
Did you really identify with the fall season? Do you feel like you still
Like have fall inside
me?
me?
Because you definitely present very fall to me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I present fall.
Yeah, the beard. I feel like I always see you in a sweater.
Yeah. No matter what temperature it is, I'm going to be in a sweater.
Yeah.
I love spring. I'm a spring guy. if you're a basketball fan, it's a great time for basketball. You get March Madness, then you get the playoffs in the NBA.
Yeah.
I just bought my 10-month-old son a basketball hoop. He cannot walk. He can barely crawl. And I'm just like,
yeah,
you will become good. Just stare at it, meditate on this hoop.
Yeah.
The
Williams sisters didn't learn how to play tennis by accident.
That's what I'm saying. You just have to, you have to make them know that they won't be loved unless they're good at this thing that you want them to be good at. Yeah. No, but I do think if you start early and start young, that it's easier to be comfortable. I think the hardest thing about a sport is showing up and everyone's better than you at it. And then you're just like, well, this feels horrible. I'm going to quit.
That was me with every sport my whole life. Yeah. Still to this day.
Did your dad, did you play sports young? Like, was he not a sports guy?
My dad loves sports.
Interesting.
He's not like a nut.
It's going to be a cautionary tale for me. How did it all go wrong?
I sort of was raised with this idea that if you're not good at something, you should just stop or give up.
Totally.
There was never a sense of like, you might have a ceiling, sure, but like you can also develop skills and practice at things to get better.
Yes.
So it was like, if I'm not good at something, then that's just not for me.
Right. It's crazy how I feel like I got the same thing. My parents, I think, tried very hard to be supportive of me, but I think somehow we all get this message somewhere, either from school or your parents subtly, that like, if you don't, like, you're going to have your aptitudes in life, and sort of life is about finding those things. And if you try something and you're just bad at it right away, then it's just like, give up, don't pursue it. It's not,
that's not you. Yeah.
And it's such a, my friend had a father, and his dad told him this thing that I think is such a great parenting hack. But he basically was like, I want you to be trying so many things that you are failing every day at something.
Yeah.
And I want you to come back to me at the end of the day and tell me the thing that you failed at, and we will celebrate it together. We'll be like, you failed at, running a mile in under 8 minutes today. Like, awesome job. Like, way to fail. You're pushing yourself. And I was like, wow, what a great way to kind of turn that on your head, because you have to fail. The people that are cool with failing are so much more successful. It's just such a huge teacher and a big part of life.
No, it's totally true. I mean, that's really smart. I wish I had done that. I'll start with my son now. He's only 6. So.
Yeah, you've got time. Yeah.
It's something I tried to engender that as well with my kids. More of just this idea that like if you want to do something, that's great. Like you just have to practice at it, and breaking out sort of that idea into like, not even like steps, but also just like you're going to start something and you're going to be bad.
Yeah.
And you just keep going.
Yeah.
Like you just keep trying, and you try, like you said, try different things and really building that out. Cause I definitely don't think I had that. And it wasn't until I was probably 25 until I was like, I'm just going to try things and just try to get better, and just, I've always tried to, and when I started thinking like that is when things really started changing for me.
Interesting.
And so I've always tried to sort of like bring that in and push that out. And it's weird now though, now that I've turned 40, I have a career and I have things that I'm expected to be good at.
Yeah.
And when I fall short, it's hard for me now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I can't have that mindset of like, just get better. I need to be good enough now.
Yes.
But I've had to like, sort of like walk that back and be like, look, dumbass, like,
we're all learning.
Yeah. We're all learning. Truly, like, even when you think you've arrived, you haven't. There's always something more to sort of like push.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a similar, like when I got out of acting school, I was like, I've learned acting. Like, I don't want to, like, I just want to do it now. I don't want to have anyone, and it's just like, no, bro, you have no idea what you're doing. You're probably worse actually for the school than you would have been if you had just spent 4 years like trying to do it in the professional world. So yeah. But for sure in the professional world, in the arts, yeah, you're expected to be an expert, expected to know what you're doing. It is hard to sort of keep your self-esteem through those failures.
It is.
And there are a lot of them. They come fast and furious.
It's hard not to look at a person who's having a lot of success, or even somebody who you just respect artistically as a genius or whatever. It's hard not to look at them and be like, fuck, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
But then you have to remember there's this whole narrative behind that.
Yes.
And it's
allure,
so
an origin
rare,
story.
The origin story. And it's so rare for that origin story to be 100% what you think it is.
Oh, yeah, it's undoubtedly not 100% what you think it is, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Not to say that there aren't geniuses and super brilliant people.
Sure.
I mean, there's people I did, like when I was doing Groundlings with, and like they're like on SNL now. And like I remember looking back and be like, fuck, man, like there's just something separating you from the rest of us, you know, like it was clear.
Yes.
But there's also people out there where I'm like, really? Like that's
totally.
Who we're, because I know things.
Yeah, for sure. I know that is hard. When people that deserve their success get it, it's very validating. And I know some people who I think are just really brilliant who haven't broken out, and that's tough.
Yes,
that's tough to see too, because you're like, oh man, if this person isn't making it, you know. But there is so much luck. You know, people say this all the time. It's just like it's a soup of luck and talent and skill and right place and right time and all that stuff. But luck plays a huge part. I mean, if you were going to break it down, I would say like talent is like 25% of it and luck is 25%. And who you know is 48%, you know? And then like,
well, and I think honestly too, just perseverance. Every time I met somebody who I've sort of maybe doubted artistically, but has had like super like perseverance,
for sure,
they more often than not have like emerged on the other side, not only better, like they've compensated for maybe their lack of developed skills, but like have succeeded. And I do think like that attitude thing is 100% something you can control.
Yeah.
It just comes to other people more naturally, maybe.
Andrew, you've been writing for some podcasts.
Yes. The show's called Even the Royals.
Cool.
And so we're taking like a week. Every episode is like a different sort of, I don't want to say deep dive. We try to give you like a very tight, fun, narrative-driven story about a different royal through history. And we do all royals, you know, throughout the world, through all periods of history. Even modern day royals. Sometimes we'll do a modern day royal story.
Oh,
although they're not so much, they're litigious. So
yeah, you got to be careful. Better if they're dead.
Napoleon, very dead. But so the show though, Even the Royals spun off from this other show called Even the Rich, where they do these sort of deep dives into celebrities' lives. I wrote an episode for them too about Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart, which was fun. And so like the conceit is we have like these scenes where they're like fully sound design and like you're sort of narratively telling the story of the protagonist, you know, who wants something. They have a North Star. Every episode has like a real drive to it in that way. So it's not like a history podcast where you're sort of just learning about, like, it's not two people just sort of talking about the history, like reading a Wikipedia page.
Right. It's like, we're going to take you through this sort of specific journey that this historical figure went on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of filling in. I mean, we're all sourced, like we have a full-time researcher and like everything's backed up by actual history books. You know, we're not just like scraping Wikipedia, although I love Wikipedia. So
shout out to Wikipedia.
Shout out to Wikipedia.
Donate to Wikipedia.
Get your $3 in there. But yeah, so it's great if you are interested in history. And
are you a history buff? Like, was this?
I love history. Yeah. So this was really fun to get to go on, and the hosts are great too. They're very funny, and they both come from sort of comedy backgrounds, so they're bringing like a lightness to it, and
that's great.
Which isn't always easy because some of the stuff we're covering can be pretty dark.
A lot of beheadings.
A lot of I'll just say it doesn't end well for most
royals. It does not end well. Yeah.
They
It's
all
hard
die.
to go off into the sunset as like a loved retired royal.
Yeah.
These are royals from every nation.
Everything. We did like we did a series like all about the 6 wives of Henry VIII last season.
Yeah. They had that was rough.
Real rough
for them.
Tough stuff. And this season we're doing one about the Tudors. So I just told you about 2 English, but I just wrote this.
Yeah, we cover them all. Mostly English.
The one I'm like editing right now is about Nur Jahan, who was a Mughal empress.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
She was great. She, I won't go too deep into it, but yeah.
You can.
Okay, yeah. I mean, she ended up ruling like Mughal India. Because her husband was a drug addict and was basically too fucking out of it.
Oh, so she was sort of, he was the figurehead still, I assume, because women could not be leaders at that time.
Right.
India.
Yeah, no, it was she couldn't even be seen by non-family members. So everything she did was sort of behind a curtain in lots of cases, like a literal curtain.
Literally.
Yeah.
The curtain. Yeah.
She even her husband ended up getting kidnapped and she led a rescue mission on top of an elephant. Straight into battle. Yeah. And she was actually though still on top of the howdah, I think is how it's pronounced, like the carriage that sits on top of the elephant's back. Still behind a curtain.
Oh no.
Leading people into battle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's really interesting. And yeah,
wow,
for me
that is crazy. Yeah.
It's been great because I do love history, and being able to really dive deep into people this way has been really fun.
What's her name again?
Nur Jahan.
Nur Jahan. How do you find these stories? Do you have a team? Is this you? Like you're looking through history, coming up with these?
Yeah. So we have a team. We have several producers above me, and part of my job is to pitch stories, and the same with the other writer producer and our associate producer. We all pitch people who we think would be interesting. We have like a whole back catalog.
Yeah.
And the show is like the audience is primarily for women. That's who our audience is.
Primary target.
So we tend to feature mainly female royals, and also we try to get outside of Europe as much as we can. So having, royals from other backgrounds, other countries, as much as we can. Cause there's a lot of stuff about those people. It's hard though sometimes because, there's not always great sourcing, or the books are written in like literal other languages that we just don't have a budget to translate, you know? So, but we also want to be sourcing and as sensitive as possible. So like definitely for like non-European royals, we try to have like a cultural consultant come on to help us navigate that and make sure we're being respectful. And also sometimes there's just stuff like we didn't understand, like I didn't understand.
Yeah, what a great guy Christopher Columbus was. Yeah. You don't want to be on the,
Exactly. Although, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it's great.
Do you have a favorite period of history?
Oh man, that's great. I want to say a current favorite.
I like the 80s.
The 80s. Really into the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. No. What a dumb answer for a podcast. I need to have something more compelling than that.
No, hey, listen, we're all about truth. I mean, you could not have a favorite, but some areas that you like. We can make it a little more broad.
Yeah, I mean,
areas of interest.
Yeah, I was really into English history, just because I did like a Richard III episode, and I'm also really into like religious history. I like the history of like the Catholic Church and all of that. I mean, like so much of it intersects with European royalty because it was all sort of derived from that.
Yeah. Are you religious?
I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I'm very interested in religion.
Yeah.
I was raised Catholic.
Gotcha.
I'm not really practicing anymore.
Sure. Yeah. It's a fascinating, I'm very interested in religion as well. And I would say I was raised, I think I mentioned this on the podcast, but Unitarian Universalist, which is a very, very non-dogmatic, liberal sort of open spiritual search. A liberal in the terms, politically also, but mostly just in the openness of its dogma. You can be atheist, you can be humanist, that kind of stuff.
Okay, great.
So that was how I was raised. I also am not practicing, but I'm fascinated by religion. I was a staunch atheist for a long time, and I've come away from that. I would not say that I like believe in a Christian God by any means, but I will say that I think pretty much like all my friends, I think, blame religion for a lot of the problems of the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's a totally fair criticism. Certainly many wars are waged in the name of religion, and it's sort of the reason a lot of people can't get along. But I do think that that is a problem because it has become a human political system.
Yeah.
I think at the core of most religious teachings are some things that are helpful for humans to move through the world. And I don't just mean like believing in some sort of God who's going to punish you if you do bad things, but I mean like a relationship with the mysteries of existence, a meditation practice. I would argue that prayer is basically meditation.
Yeah.
And so I think that there may be some, like, if you can get it away from the ways people use it to divide and to judge and to keep people apart, I think that if you could get a movement of people that are using it to bring people together.
Yeah.
A movement. I'm sure there's a lot of religions trying to do that.
There is. I think you could maybe just started one. I don't know.
Yeah. Join. Yeah, get here. But why does it?
No, I mean, I feel the same way. I also feel like we obviously as humans have this like innate desire. And I don't think, I know it's sort of, well, it's because how you explain the world, right? People just didn't know.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously that's a big component of it. But I do think we have this innate desire of connection and community. And I think that goes hand in hand with a lot of what religion teaches, different religions. I also think now that we've separated from it so much in the sort of the secular lives we live in, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
We still need it.
Yeah.
So you're either operating at a deficit, which is going to manifest itself, I think, in shitty ways, or you're going to replace it with something that's maybe not great.
Yeah.
You're going to replace it with, something that is,
we all worship something. Who is it? It's like Mark Twain said that or somebody.
Yeah.
I might be misquoting that, but he's like, everyone worships something and find out what they're worshiping. And if it's something like video games and video games are great. I love video games, love to play video games, but they're not going to do the things for you that, that religion should in its best form. You were saying that like, explaining how the world works. And I would say that like, I think in the beginning, religion was the science of the time.
Right.
It was the political system of the time. It was the spiritual system of the time. It was like the communal, it was the community of the time. So now we've kind of separated those things out, right? We have modern science. We understand that like God isn't sitting in that cloud that you're seeing. I mean, he is in the cloud. But
build a bigger
not
telescope.
literal. Yeah. And so we don't need it to do all those things. And I think like, it gets, I don't want to sit here and prognosticate. I don't want to be like, hey, go be Catholic, go be Christian, because honestly, because I think, but I guess I want to advocate. I think a spiritual search has a lot of value.
I miss it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I personally miss a lot of the community that I had around it.
Yeah.
But the irony is like, I don't want to be part of a community that excludes people that I love in my life.
100%.
So it's like, there's even this like church right down the street from us. And I was like, I always see lots of like people and families going in there. And I'm like, maybe let's just go check it out. Maybe we'll meet some like nice people. Go on their website. What do we believe? Click on there. And it's like, oh no, you like hate gay people.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't.
Yeah. How sad.
Yeah. I can't reconcile that. And it is such it's like the cognitive dissonance between like seeing the people going there who are presenting as very normal but I'm like,
seemingly inclusive and open.
Yeah. And it's like, but do you believe that? Or are you even aware of that? Are you asleep on that?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Either way, I'm aware of it and I can't be part of that. So I think that's the push and pull I am. But I do miss, I miss like a lot of the trappings of being Catholic. Like I hated going to mass when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because it was compulsory.
Yep.
I kind of miss it now.
Sure.
I like going during Christmas.
Community.
I like singing.
Yeah.
I like being there. The church is like very like, I don't know, like it feels like you get a feeling off of it. And again, I'll fully acknowledge I probably feel that way because I'm like welcomed there. And if I wasn't welcome there, I get that people would not feel that.
Which is the huge problem. You know, it's nothing new to say that I think there is a loneliness epidemic in our modern culture and society. And I think we are so hungry for some community.
Totally.
And it's such a shame that the religions that sort of built our culture are are holding on so tight to these outdated ideas
Yeah.
of who can be in it and who can be who's out of it. You know, it feels very unchristian to me to be to spend your time deciding who is bad. It's like, I think if you read the teachings of Jesus closely, he doesn't spend, you know, it's love your neighbor, it's not love your neighbor if he's straight and if he's white and if he's not an immigrant, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's so hypocritical to me. It's so sad to watch, you know, Christians in the name of this religion, you know, take these stands that are so uninclusive and damaging, I think.
Yeah.
I would say the Catholic Church has endeavored a little bit to open it up a little and, you know, to great resistance.
A little, I mean, kind of, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's also solely dependent on like who's Pope, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And even then it's all couched in like language that kind of gets them leeway, like ecclesiastically. I don't know. It's tough. And it's also, have you joined the Catholic subreddit? Have you ever?
No, I've not.
I mean, it's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's truly like, it's wild how dogmatic people are.
Right.
And obviously being online and being, so you're
going to
representing
get
this extreme. I don't think
peak.
most Catholics are probably like that. I think most Catholics are just asleep.
Yeah.
And, aren't thinking about a lot of these things. And the ones that are, though, those loudest voices, it's sort of like the problem that we're having with everything. It's like the loud voices are sort of leading the conversation around a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I miss, I miss it.
Community. I mean, community is so important. We're not meant to go through the world without a community around us. But I'm a huge Joseph Campbell guy. Are you a Joseph Campbell? Are you aware of him at all in any of your traverses? He's a comparative mythologist, basically, but essentially what he did is he studied all the world religions, all the major world religions.
Hero's Journey?
Hero's Journey.
Yes,
Hero with 1,000 Faces is his major work. Power of Myth and the Hero's Journey is his sort of major literary contribution, I would say.
Okay, cool.
But he basically lays out like 4 purposes that myths serve, and I'm going to butcher these a little bit, but one of them is to help you go through the phases of life and to sort of accept like the old rituals, the old rites. If you were, you know, when you were a boy, you would go out into the woods and go through some horrible ordeal and come back like a man, right?
Yeah.
And then you understood that I've moved into this other place in my life. And then like as you get older and you're moving towards death and you have to sort of like let go of all these things, you have this like these rituals and this community and these ways for you to make peace with and accept all that. And I think the literalness is that people take it literally. The truth of religion is not in the literal, it's not in the science of 2,000 years ago or in, you know, it's in the truth of human transformation and change. Right. The virgin birth of Christ is the ability in us to have a birth of acceptance and awareness and knowledge and communion with the universe and communion with the mystery. That there's this great Bible quote that's like, the kingdom of heaven is laid out before us and men do not see it. And it is like the kingdom of heaven is this experience that we're having right now. That the kingdom of heaven is the world that you create for yourself when you change the way you think and open yourself and love. You know, it's really all about love. It's about compassion. Yeah. You know, and so religion, I think, used to let people move through for all of its faults and flaws, and we're just so detached from that. But I do think we need that. It's such a hard way to move through life without any sort of roadmap. Yeah.
And I think we're feeling that.
Yeah.
I think like people, you're right. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about how we've sort of eliminated a lot of these rites of passage, which we kind of have them, but they're getting like less and less, it feels like.
For sure.
I just read this thing about how like Gen Z's not dating.
Oh God. Yeah.
Did you?
They say that every few years, like, oh, these, no one's having sex and no one's dating. And but I think
I might like to
Someone's
be fair,
having sex.
Someone's
But yeah, it probably less.
I think it was more of just like the idea of like, yeah, when I was a kid, like I had crushes and like I wanted to like go out with girls, I wanted like, it was like very like typical sort of adolescent stuff. And like this article was sort of saying that like, this isn't happening as much anymore. And I'm like, whether or not that's true, I was like, that's like it's like an interesting thing to think about. Like we sort of strip away.
Yeah.
As these sort of rites of passage get stripped away, what are we left with? Or how do we, if we don't know how to transform or how to wade into these things, what happens? And it feels like they just get prolonged. Like,
your youth, the adolescence
just keeps getting pushed
until you're
the can down the road.
For sure. Until you have kids or what, like it's easy to be an adolescent until you're 40 or until you're 35 and you have a baby or whatever, and you really have to like grow up in certain ways.
Right. And as a parent, like now, I mean, everyone was like, I think like our grandparents' generation probably looked at our parents and the way they sort of controlled our lives as insane.
Yeah.
But if they could see how we control our kids' lives now, like it's only getting more insane.
Yeah.
But I wonder, I thought about this as like, as we've tightened around our kids so much.
Yeah.
It does feel like we're just kicking a can down the road.
Yeah, you're sort of taking some of the, like their journey through life is to, make mistakes and overcome challenges. And if you take away, if everything is on bumpers, then they never really get to learn certain things until the real hard knocks come way late.
But it's hard because when it's like easy to like look at that, like philosophically, but then like when you're in the shit,
you don't want
like, fuck, I don't want my kid
to get hurt,
crack their head open.
No, yeah.
Like my daughter just broke her arm.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. She's fine.
Good. How'd she do it?
She was weird at the zoo. She was like on a statue and she like just slipped off of it. And,
oh God. Oh, like
fractured her elbow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, she's okay. I was kind of glad that it happened though.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is like, it's like, I'm the kind of parent who can let that sort of thing happen.
Yeah.
Like she got hurt, but not in like a
child services.
Trauma way, you know?
Yeah. A normal fall.
A normal kid thing. And also like, it was like a good chance for her to sort of go through it and be like, oh, I can survive this.
Yeah.
And it was a good chance for her to see like, oh, mom and dad aren't worried. Like we can like go through something that is painful, but I know they have my back. You know what I mean? Like, whereas, if I had been standing right next to her, which a fucking lot of parents do, even like my daughter's 9, I still see parents who won't let their kids like climb up a wall,
right?
Like just a wall.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they're like right there. And I'm like, fuck, man, like you have to let your kids do shit like that and hurt themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not like, again, I'm not advocating like
neglect in any way. Yes. Yeah. You got to give them a little leash, a longer leash.
But it is like so anti what I feel like as parents we're sort of told now. Like we're really taught to fear and really taught to like, you got to do like, if you don't have the baby monitor
right
until they're 14.
Yeah. You're an irresponsible
That's an exaggeration,
parent. But yeah, and it's for sure a theme that runs through all of these major religions and major mythologies is death and rebirth, and that is because like we as human beings developing are constantly going through these psychological deaths and rebirths.
Yeah, and
it's such an important part of life. The person that the little baby inside of you has to die to become the metaphorical, to become the child,
right?
And the child has to die to become the adolescent, and the adolescent and when I say die, I just mean like the ways of thinking, the ways of feeling, the ways of interacting with your world have to change.
Yep.
And for things to change, you have to, the old ways have to go, and that is like the central, that religions hold a lot of truth when you look at them as metaphors for internal struggles and internal journeys. And I think we get so caught up in the literal walking on water, and the literal water and the wine and the literal coming back from the dead. It's like, this is a story that this is meant to evoke in you your internal experience and your relationship with the world.
Right.
And that I think is, and so like watching your kids grow, you're watching these changes happen so quick when they're young.
Oh yeah. They're constantly dying.
Yeah,
Being
it's like
reborn.
the kid I knew last night
Yeah.
isn't the one that woke up.
Yeah.
You know, they're reborn in the morning. Yeah.
I think that's really interesting what you're saying about, death and rebirth, but throughout our whole lifetime.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe why 40 is so hard.
Yeah.
Because there is no, it doesn't feel like a natural point. Or I guess, I don't know. Well, one, it's not, nobody cares because you're not a kid.
Yeah.
But, you are shedding this sort of younger adult mindset.
You can never convince yourself that I'm still kind of young. I'm still like a young, cool.
Yeah,
you just really have to be like, oh, fuck, I'm really middle-aged.
But also too, there's such a long gap between probably your last death and rebirth, because I feel like around 25 is maybe where I died and was reborn.
27 for me. Yes. But
so it's been 15 years
right,
where I haven't had to think about it, where it's just been this upward ascendancy or whatever.
Yeah. Your mode of living stays relatively the same.
I think I forgot that I was going to die again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and so like, I'm sort of like dealing with that of like, oh, I didn't think I was going to have to do this again until I was like retired or whatever.
I mean, did you feel, I would have guessed maybe you went through one when your kids were born. Like 9 years ago, maybe around there. I feel like I'm going through one right now where I'm sort of in this like, oh yeah, really, I'm really just having to let go. My priorities are just changing. You know, you have a kid and you're just like, my parents are getting older, just like life is really moving forward at a very fast pace, and it's starting to I'm just like, hey, time is precious in all regards. And
yeah. I think when my kids were born, because I had kids younger, like when I was 31, I think was when my daughter was born. So it wasn't as big of an adjustment.
Oh, interesting.
For me.
Just kind of part of the run.
Yeah, because I think at 25 is when I felt like, I felt like I'd left act 1 and I was journeying into act 2, right? I had sort of my mission, like I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to try to be a writer, work in comedy. Yeah. And my daughter, my family coming along, because I also got married shortly after I kind of moved here. It all sort of felt like part of that, like that sort of journey. Like it didn't feel like a destination.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It was just like, that was your like page 45.
It felt like, this sort of like upward trajectory. Whereas now at 40, it feels like things are flattening out a little bit. Like I've been a dad now for a decade. Like it's my career's sort of, moving along. So and you're sort of just staring ahead at like, oh, wow, this is like the next 20 something years.
Yeah. What do I want out of this big chunk?
Yeah.
That could easily be slept through if you're not careful. I think.
And then sort of like that mindset though, of that upward trajectory has sort of changed, that things feel like they're sort of flattening out a little bit. So, I think that's where the bigger change for me has come. But
do you feel like you are searching? For me, when my life feels stagnant or flat, I always think of like the fountain of youth and the fountain of eternal life. And when you find something that really nourishes you and that really like wakes you up and sets you off, you feel more alive. And to me, that is the like fountain of youth. That's the fountain of life. That's the like sweet water of immortality. Yeah. And like, this is going to sound super cheesy, but when I was 27, I was going through like a very like crisis. Like, what does it all mean? What am I doing? And that was when I found my improv community, which then super nerdy, but it was a life-giving community. Yes. It was a new thing to experience and get excited about. And it opened up a lot of personal potentials. And so that was like one of those moments for me. I broke up with my girlfriend. We've been together a long time. That was very hard and painful. I switched jobs. I found this new community. So it was like all those things all kind of like hit at the same time. And it's like, oh, that was a birth and a death and a kind of a renewal. But are you finding that, like, do you feel like you're searching for those waters? Have you found those waters?
No, I'm searching for them.
Searching, right? Yeah. Like, what's that next sweet sip of eternal life?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to reconnect with things that I enjoy doing, I love playing music. I love performing. Well, I don't know if I still love performing. I haven't done it in a while.
I know. I think you do. I'm that same thing. I'm like, haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
I bet you every time I come back to it, I'm like, oh God, why I really enjoy this, for better, for worse. I don't know what it says about me. I like to be on a stage.
I know.
Yeah. Get back.
The challenge though, again, is
book
like
your karaoke tour, get back to Tucson.
Yeah.
Get back to the,
I know. I need to get up there. I think the challenge is time. And I also think the challenge is just like getting out of this, like this mindset of like, I'm too old. You know what I mean? Like
that's a killer. Yeah.
Which is something I've never had to deal with.
Totally.
I've never felt too old until maybe like 3 years ago, where I would turn around and like I wrote this script with this guy who's 10 years younger than me. And I was like, oh yeah, now I'm the old one.
Yeah.
And, so I think I'm still sort of processing that. But I think, like you said, the Fountain of Youth, reconnecting with things that, those things that give you that feeling,
of excitement. Like, like I'm excited to wake up in the morning. Yeah. Like that was a feeling that like that goes away.
Not my family.
Family, family is that, right? But I do feel like I want to say like men, and I think that's probably not true. I think for certain people who their career means a lot to, your family is like, it's so much, but you have to fight the career battle too. You have to like, speaking for myself, I love my family so much, and I would be happy and fulfilled if I never had another career success, but my career is important to me. And like finding something that makes me feel valuable, that I feel like I can give to the universe, something where I feel like I have purpose outside of the family is just so important. And I think that's okay. I think, people need both,
It feels weird though, because like my dad just literally went to a job 9 to 5 and like then came home and was with us, like he didn't have any hobbies, doesn't have any hobbies. So it's weird to like,
but the art world is not like that.
No, I know.
It's like,
I have to like always remind that, but I do think that's always in the back of my head of like, you just have to fucking earn your money.
Earn money. Earn that money.
Just provide.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the things that I give my family are different than what my dad gave to my family,
Sure. Yeah.
But it's all things that I never thought I was ever going to think about, and then they all come at once and you're like, I hate this.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't it be nice to have a community and a spiritual path, and you could go to have a ceremony where they dunk you in water and you come up and now you're 40 and what you're.
I'm just going to stay at home.
Yeah. Just stay at home. But that's so interesting. That search for that water, that is, I think it's good to remember that keeps happening in life, that like you'll find those waters and it'll feel like a revelation, and it is, and it's good. And then, but like inevitably you will have to keep, I wish there's a way, like, I don't know what the answer is, but for me, I feel like the gaps between those wells is so long. And I spend a long time sort of knowing that I'm not finding it.
Yeah.
Like years, like half a day, like probably 10 years or 8 years, I've felt just like I'm not doing the thing I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's just such a long, I wonder if there's a better path to finding that thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because like, I feel the same way too, a lot of the times. And part of me is like, well, just accept it, like be a Buddhist and just
say yes.
But then it's hard because it's like, well, no, I know if I do that, maybe I'll feel a little bit better, but I also don't think I truly will, because I'll have let go of something that if I had just been persistent about finding, then I will eventually find it. So I guess what I'm saying is Buddhism is crap. No, I'm just kidding.
What has Buddhism ever gotten us?
It's a fine line between acceptance and persistence and desire. Like it's hard, and it's hard to judge. And I really respect the people that seem to have no problem with it. Who just
do they exist? Are there people that have no problem with it?
I think there's people who just. Well, I think a lot of people do just accept,
like, don't have the angst.
They don't have.
They're just like, I'm living my life. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, and that's great.
What else is there?
They're
What's
happy.
on TV tonight? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that sort of that drive, as shitty as it is, I don't think I would not want to have it. Yeah, and I don't want to let it go. I just had to learn how to sort of like manage how I react to it better.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think it is something that's important in my life, and it's pushed me to do things that I never thought would happen.
Yeah.
But I also know that if I let it get to me too much, then I don't feel great, and
Yeah.
it affects my relationships, and
Yeah.
it also ultimately affect the thing that I'm trying to do. You know, if
Yeah.
I'm being too hard on myself or being too judgmental about where I'm at or whatever. So it's kind of like, I think the acceptance is, for me, the trick I play is like, I just have to accept this is where I am right now
Mhm. Yeah.
and be okay with that.
Yeah.
But also but also know that like, it's like kind of what we were talking about earlier of just like, I'm always going to try and get better, and I'm always going to try and push.
Yeah.
And I think as I've gotten older, the other component is accepting that like, I am going to hit a ceiling at some point. I think we all hit our ceilings, and being okay with that. Like,
you mean at a specific, like which ceilings? Like little ceilings with your job or with your physicality?
or just being like, look, there are things that I think I'm good at, you know, and like, I'll keep working to get better, but I'm also there is like a limit, you know, to how good you can.
Would you say a limit or a plateau? I like to think of it as plateaus,
A
where like
plateau.
I've hit a plateau, but I hope to keep pushing through, you know?
I'll keep pushing to get better, but
like unless you're an NBA player and your body's going to give it, you know, I think for us, we can always hope to keep improving.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's
right.
the great gift of art. And
yeah,
we can all take comfort in the fact that like,
okay,
we'll hit plateaus and we'll break through. I had a thought while you were talking, you know, maybe the way to fast track that water of life search, maybe the way to fast track finding the things that are, you know, most fulfilling for you is to find your gatekeepers, to find your thresholds, to find the dragons that are holding you back. And I think it's like, look for the things that you're afraid of. Look for the things you're afraid to do. Because I think those are the places that are holding us back. What's that thing you're afraid to do? Could be a relationship that you're afraid to get out of.
Right.
It could be a personal relationship or a business relationship. It could be like leaving a job that's very comfortable you've had a long time. It could be like taking a risk and starting something new, or performing more.
Yeah.
Taking time for yourself. I think it could be like substances, like, oh, I got to quit this thing. I've been thinking about this and I think looking back, it's always the things that I was just like, oh, I don't want to do that thing. Like, I'm you know, like, I'll deal with that later.
Yes.
It's like, that's the thing that's the dragon. That's the threshold. That's the thing that you've got to crack open a little bit. And I bet you that those are the things that keep us from those.
Yeah.
That's my suspicion.
No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And definitely lines up with my experience.
Yeah. Have you noticed that? Have you had any things that you feel like you kind of were afraid of and that you and then
I think even just moving here when was scary for me.
Yeah.
And like thinking that I could have a creative career, that I was good enough to do it, you know. Because I kind of had a regular job for a little bit before I moved here. I went to school for film, but yeah, I think just sort of, again, that mindset of like, I'm just going to get better was the thing that unlocked it. But it wasn't until like my wife forced us to move here.
Yeah.
Because she sort of believed in me. And
that's great.
Yeah. You know, and I've been lucky enough to have those mentors and people in my life who have like seen things in me that I didn't see.
Yeah.
And
that's huge.
helped me to push through those barriers. But it did start with that sort of initial of like, I need to face this and go through it. And seems so silly and like low stakes.
No,
but,
moving across the country is a huge deal.
I lived in San Diego, so it wasn't.
Oh, you moved from San Diego to Los Angeles?
So far. I will say culturally.
Yeah. Now I'm rethinking the whole narrative.
Culturally very far though. Culturally very far.
Sure. I will maintain it is a huge deal to move. Moving, when I moved from New York to LA, it kicked my ass. I think I'm still recovering from it. It was a much bigger deal than I thought it was.
I think the bigger thing to get in my mind was like the fucking critic in my head and bridging that gap and just learning how to like push through that. And something I still, I don't think creatives ever really goes away.
Yeah.
It's part of what makes your work not suck. If you don't have a critic, you're terrible, probably.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit of a critic.
You have to have a critic. But it's like learning that like that sort of story that critic is telling is not real unless I accept it as being real.
Totally. It's sort of the churn.
But that was hard to overcome, very hard. And as like a 20-year-old, I had very no confidence. So it was like doubly hard, I think, I had to like find confidence to then even be able to attempt to face that dragon, as you put it.
Yeah. You've got to, in Star Wars,
yes,
Obi-Wan Kenobi gives Luke Skywalker a lightsaber, and that is metaphorical of his like spiritual weapon, right?
Right.
But he also gives him a ethos. He also gives him a spiritual framework, which is the Force, and to trust the Force and to let go.
Yeah. And he lies to him.
What's the lie?
About Darth Vader, his father.
Oh, yeah.
Your father betrayed and murdered Darth Vader. Oh, wait.
Well, that's not a lie. Well, go ahead.
It is a lie.
No,
he retconned.
Well, couldn't you say that he betrayed who his father actually, like internally betrayed who he was?
That's what they ended up.
That was the
with.
retcon.
But in the first episode,
I
mean,
he was saying, he really murdered.
Yeah,
him.
because between Empire and New Hope. Sorry, you're gonna cut all this out, but
no, this is staying in.
In New Hope, he says your father was seduced by. He says like Vader killed him.
Keep going. No, do the line.
I don't know the line clearly because I keep fucking it up.
Yeah.
And then in Empire, he says, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
And then they had to retcon that though, because Obi-Wan had said your father was killed by Vader.
Yeah.
And so they retconned that by saying, that's where he said, the famous line of like, well, what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
See? That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, I bought it the whole time. I was like, oh, it is true.
But you're right. He does arm him that mentor.
Yeah, he arms him with not just a weapon to do battle with, but a mentality and a mindset. And I think we need that. You know, you were talking about gaining confidence in your 20s. We need a story to tell ourselves.
Yes.
We need, inspiration or guidance or whatever it is, mentorship to even take on those battles.
Right.
Like, it's like the first thing you need to do is like gather your.
Yep. And this business is not built on mentorship.
No.
I mean, it should be.
It should be.
We belong to a fucking guild.
Yeah.
A writer's guild.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's super competitive.
Yeah.
And I am just lucky that I've met those people because it is not the case for so many people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hoarding, a lot of smogs out there sitting on their
on their piles
treasure.
of gold. Yeah, their treasures. Yeah. Share your treasure.
No.
So much more we could get into. So much more to talk about here. But time is getting short here.
Yes.
I like to. Sometimes I've been forgetting to do this, but I like to end the podcast with one good thing, something that you love, something that you're just happy exists in the world, something good. There's so much kind of negativity in the news, and there's so many things to worry about and feel bad about. So I just like to can be anything, big or small.
One good thing.
Yeah, one good thing.
Oh God. I'm terrible at these.
I know just from knowing you that you like ASMR.
Oh yes, I do.
And that is could you just briefly tell us what ASMR is, and then give us your what kind do you like?
ASMR is people on the YouTube, and I don't think it started on YouTube.
Yeah,
it was this. It's this thing in your brain when people talk softly. It you feel like tingles in your brain.
Yeah,
and now there's this whole thing on the internet of creators who just make these videos. I feel like people know this, right? People savvy about this.
Not
right?
everybody.
No,
okay.
I
know. I think some people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I heard the same This American Life everyone heard about ASMR, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, because I definitely like when people talk softly to me.
Yeah.
And I've noticed it in other things.
And this is like people in mics, and they're like, yes, you're going to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the role play ones. I like the spa ones where you go or the haircut ones. Those are ones that are great.
Oh, they're just like, I'm cutting your hair.
Yeah, no, but there's like scissors and like They get like scissors and like some of them get really into
Soundscape.
it. Yeah, they actually make these like mic rigs where it's like rigged up where the mic is like your ears. So they're like clipping here.
So it's stereo.
It does like stereo panning.
Oh.
They'll do like washing where they like you hear like the soap being like it's so weird. It sounds like a kink. It's really not.
I was just gonna say, I always thought ASMR was for like perverts who wanted to hear like people like women rub their feet on mics. And
certainly
you're not disabusing me so far.
No, certainly that subset exists. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
For me, it's just very relaxing. It's very calming, and I listen to men and women. It's like it's not like a gender thing.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, it's just super relaxing, and it was really great. It's great to fall asleep to. Like I'll listen to it if I take a nap because it'll just like conk me out right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's weird.
That's great.
My wife hates it. She thinks it's the weirdest thing.
She's jealous.
She's not jealous. She doesn't hate that I do it. She's just like she personally would never listen. I always tell her, I was like,
your hair cutter whores singing tonight as you fall asleep.
Who is it today? Yeah.
Your massage women whispering in your ear.
It's very relaxing. I also like stuff that's like not people. That's just like, I'll watch like fix it videos where it's just people fixing things and you just hear all the sounds.
And you're just like listening to them. They're not narrating or anything? They're just like,
oh yeah, no. There's this great guy, Odd Tinkering is his channel.
Oh my God.
And all he does is restore things that he restores garbage, like straight trash. Like
finds it on the street.
I actually think he like gets at it like probably like junkyards and stuff like that. Cause he'll like here's like a what was a really cool one. He found like it was a light from a Soviet submarine.
Oh,
all rusted out.
Oh, that's so
just
cool.
completely like destroyed. He restores it so it looks brand new, and he shows you every step of the way. Some of these there's some shysters out here in this genre video who will take something new and make it look shitty, and then they'll film themselves scraping away the dirt and things. No. This guy is real. It's really real deal. And he's gotten more advanced over the years. Like he used to clean rust off with a wire brush. Now he has like he uses like a sandblaster or like he has a laser pen.
Lasers.
I'm pretty sure he's I want to say he's like in Norway or something. I don't think he speaks English that well. He types it out. So he'll sub sometimes, but he doesn't speak, and that's why I love watching it. And my kids love watching it too because they really like the visuals of it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it
sounds very meditative.
It's very meditative, relaxing. Yeah. It's also very satisfying because at the end, it's like a new thing, and you watched it.
Yeah,
get sort of made new.
Right. Yeah, that is very satisfying.
It's so satisfying.
I've seen some of those guys that like magnet fish, and they like. Oh, you might really like this. They go to like bridges in Europe that were like sites of battles, and they take a magnet on a string and they dangle it down into the river, and they come up with like all kinds of old guns and old helmets and unexploded grenades, but then also sort of like bicycles and like picture frames. And then some of them will restore it. Most of those guys are just like showing you the stuff, but then they'll have guys that'll restore it and like things made new. It is very sad.
I would love that. When you first said magnet fish, I thought it was a genre of videos of people that went to like carnivals. You remember at a carnival where you, and that was like all it was.
Yeah.
Seems limiting, but
yeah, they're really into winning $5 prizes at the state fair.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. Well, I love that. I love
there you go.
I love magnet fishing. Hey, if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much for listening. You're a true fan.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe. A 5-star review on Apple or on iTunes really helps us out. And we really appreciate it. Please leave comments, let us know what you liked and didn't like. And Andrew, thank you so much for being here, man. This was so fun. This was a pleasure.
It was.
I feel like we really we deep noodled. We noodled. We went deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
We magnet fished the things of life.
Our souls.
Yes.
Yeah.
From our souls.
Well, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks. Absolutely.
I'd like to begin with a fact.
So deep. So deep.
Or in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles.
You have to go deeper, I think.